Hey guys, how's it going? Basil from Technotalk here, and I'm really excited because if you see here, I'm actually running Windows 7. Whoa, that was weird. Didn't mean to do that. I'm actually running Windows 7 here, but I'm still on my Mac. So like you can see in my desktop. So actually, what I did was I used Parallels. How I got Parallels is a different story, but pretty much I got it. I installed an ISO that I had for Windows 7 Ultimate, and here I have downloaded JCreator. So far in all my Java tutorials, we've been using Eclipse. JCreator's, I don't know, I like it better, but it doesn't really matter. Why is this class named Tutorials? It should be named like Quadratic. Let's name it Quadratic. Anyway, so this is the 10th tutorial, and in honor of that, I know that last time I was going over GUIs, and I said that I would keep going over GUIs, but in honor of this being my 10th tutorial, what I want to do is I want to make a program with you guys, because I don't think we've done that yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be writing a program that will solve quadratic equations. So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to get the roots, and let's go ahead and factor it as well. So this is sort of a trade-off between math. So first thing we're going to do is just import java.util.asterisk so we can use our scanner. By the way, if you're thinking about using JCreator, or if you want to know how to use it, how to install it, just comment or send me a message and I'll give you the link. It's not as babyish as Eclipse in terms that it won't give you an error like when you make it. Like if I delete this, it won't tell you that you made an error. So that's just something to keep in mind. Oh my god. Okay, so start by instantiating our scanner. Feels weird to be typing Windows 7. Excited. Okay, now what we're going to have this program do is that we're pretty much going to have it so that it'll ask us to input the value of A and then a value of B and value of C. So if you know the quadratic formula, standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to be inputting a, b, and c, and then our program is going to know how to automatically take that and find the roots or zeros and also find the factors. And one leads to another. You'll see when we get there. So here we're going to have print A equals, and we're going to have double. We're going to be using a lot of doubles in this program. It's going to be double A equals scan.next double. It's all stuff you know how to do. And like I said, I'm going to go over more complex GUIs in the next tutorial. I just wanted to do this because I wrote this program earlier today just for the fun of it, and I thought I'd do a video about it, except that I'm probably going to mess up a couple times because I just kind of randomly wrote it down. Like I didn't actually prepare this tutorial at all. Okay, so now what we have is we have it's going to ask us for A, B, and C, and yeah, and then we'll be able to input it. The user will be able to input A, B, and C, and now we have the values, but we need to know what to do with them. Well, the thing is that if you're not 9 years old or below, then you know that with a quadratic equation, there's several different ways that you can solve it. You know, you can factor it, you can use the quadratic formula, you can graph it, you can use perfect squares. There's so many different ways. But because this is a program that's going to need to be able to do it no matter what people put in for A, B, and C, we need to use the only method that you can use to actually solve any quadratic equation, which is the quadratic formula. So we're pretty much going to be trying to mimic the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is, of course, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. So we're going to start by the fact that we have to make this negative b, because the thing is that in Java you can't just do that. That doesn't make it a negative b. What you have to do is you're going to have to create another variable, call it nb for negative b, and have it equal 0 minus b. So this, I mean, it's just logic. Think about it. If you have the value of b and you subtract it from 0, that means that nb is now the opposite sign of b. So now we have that, and we're going to want to have two equations, because of course the quadratic formula is plus or minus, so that's actually two equations, one with plus, one with minus. So we're going to call the first one QP for quadratic positive, and it's going to be equal to NB, that's negative b, plus, this one's going to be plus, math.sqrt, that actually is a method for finding the square root, and then we're going to have in these parentheses, we're going to have many more parentheses. The first thing that we're going to have is b squared, so just put b times b, and then minus, and then another set of parentheses, and then in these parentheses we're going to have 4 times a times c. And this is the quadratic, wait, yeah, does that work? Does that work? Yeah, and then put this whole thing in its own parentheses. And then divide it by 2 times a. And there you go. This is pretty much the quadratic formula summed down into a line of Java code. And of course, this is only the plus version, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to copy it. And we're going to need to change this to Qn, because this is going to be quadratic negative, and this is going to be minus. So far so good. Now we pretty much have the roots. QP and QN are the two roots. This is weird to scroll. So what we're going to do is we're going to system.out.print line, and we're going to have it print the roots, the roots of the function are, and then skip a line and say x equals, and then add QP, and then add another x equals, actually space x equals, and add Qn. So now what we do at this point is let's go ahead and compile and run this. So compile, process completed, run it. So we have a equals, and let's use the equation x squared, I don't know, plus 2x minus 3, because that you can factor into into whole numbers. So we're gonna have 1, because a is 1, because it's just x squared. We're gonna have b is 2, and c is negative 3, and it'll give us the roots are 1 and negative 3, which works, because if you think about it, well, you could plug it in, and these would be the two that work. So there we go. Now we can go a step further than this and try to make it factor. This is just a slightly more complicated. Actually, you know what? This video is getting a little bit, I don't want it to be too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it here. In the next tutorial, we're going to go over how to make this factor. And then in the tutorial after that, we're going to get back to GUIs. So thanks for watching. This has been Basil from Techno Talk with my Windows 7. And yeah, see ya.